Malcolm Jamal Warner, who played Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, has died. Warner drowned off the coast of Costa Rica yesterday while on a family vacation.
His hands were trembling. His voice cracked. No one expected him to speak that day, especially not at Malcolm Jamal Warner's funeral. But when Bill Cosby stood up, the room fell completely silent. People were shocked, some even frozen, because what he said wasn't just a tribute. It was raw. It was real. And it felt like a confession that had been buried for years. Bill Cosby, once the most respected man in American television, now surrounded by controversy and scandal, took the stage. Not to save face, but to speak from a place of deep sorrow and regret. This wasn't about celebrity or image. This was about a broken bond, a father figure mourning the loss of his TV son, and maybe something even darker. Cosby wasn't just grieving Malcolm. He was mourning a time, a truth, and maybe even his own part in it all. With tears in his eyes, he talked about the bond they shared, the years spent together on set, their late-night conversations, the moments of laughter and pain.
Very much so. Very, very much so. Malcolm, you could depend on Malcolm always going to the shelter to learn his lines, to gather his character, to come out and be ready. When news came, it was shocking.
But then, everything shifted. He spoke of a missed call. A call he never returned. A final message from Malcolm that still haunted him. Cosby described a heavy pressure that had followed them both for years. Silent battles. Industry secrets. And warnings that no one took seriously. The way he said it, it sounded like a plea for forgiveness. Then came the words that left everyone breathless. He didn't die because he was careless, he died because others didn't protect him. The room went still. People glanced at each other, stunned. Was Cosby saying that Malcolm's death wasn't an accident? Even Phylicia Rashad, who played Malcolm's mom on The Cosby Show, was seen lowering her head, holding back tears. Later, in a private conversation away from cameras, she admitted something that only deepened the mystery. Just a week before Malcolm's death, she said he called her. Out of nowhere, in the middle of the night. He sounded tired, distant, almost scared. He said something she couldn't forget. "If anything ever happens to me, I just want you to know I love you, Mama." At first, she thought he was being dramatic. But then, he told her something strange. People from his past executives, co-workers, were suddenly pressuring him to come back, to keep quiet about something he didn't want to hide anymore. She asked what he meant. He paused and said, "You'll see. It'll all come out soon." That was the last time they spoke. Now, Phylicia believes Malcolm was planning to reveal something. Not about his career, but about things that went on behind closed doors in Hollywood. She thinks he was scared not of losing roles, but of something bigger. There are even rumors that Malcolm had files, old contracts, and recordings. Proof of shady deals and industry secrets that were never meant to be seen. Some said he had lost all trust in the system and was ready to walk away from it for good. And then, he was gone. The official story? He drowned. Alone. At a quiet cabin resort near Vancouver. But let's look at the facts. On Thursday, surveillance footage showed Malcolm arriving at the resort. He looked tired, but calm. Friday morning, he was seen sipping coffee on the dock, writing in a leather notebook. But by Saturday, his body was found floating near the rocks. The cause? Accidental drowning. But it doesn't add up. First, his phone. It was water damaged but not fully destroyed. Experts recovered call logs from the cloud. And what they found raised red flags. At 11:03 p.m. Friday night, just hours before his body was found, Malcolm called 3 people. One was his old publicist. One was saved in his phone under the initials LL. The third was Phylicia Rashad. None of them picked up. And none of those calls were listed in the official police report. Why? Then, the cameras. There were multiple security cameras around the resort, especially near the dock. But somehow, not one recorded Malcolm leaving his cabin that night. Officials claimed a technical issue caused them to stop recording. Coincidence? Or something else? And here's the biggest question. How did he leave the cabin if the door was locked from the inside? Early that Saturday morning, staff entered his room. The door was still locked. So how did he end up in the water? Things only got weirder. 2 days after the funeral, a man in a black hoodie came to the resort asking about Malcolm. He didn't sign in. Security was told not to stop him. He left within 10 minutes and was never seen again. Who was he? And what was he looking for? Now, people are asking the same question: was Malcolm's death really an accident? Or did someone want to silence him before he could speak? Bill Cosby's emotional goodbye. Phylicia Rashad's private confession. The missing footage. The locked cabin. The final phone calls. It all feels like more than just tragedy. It feels like a warning. One thing is clear: Malcolm Jamal Warner was loved by many. But maybe he also knew too much. And maybe someone didn't want him to share it. What really happened in those final hours? Was this a heartbreaking accident? Or was it something far more disturbing? We may never know the full truth. But the questions are just beginning. Was Malcolm Jamal Warner's death really just an accident? Or was it something darker, maybe a warning, a silencing, a truth someone didn't want the world to hear? He once told Phylicia Rashad, "If anything happens to me, just remember, I tried." Those words sound different now. They don't sound like fear, they sound like a man who already knew too much. At Malcolm's memorial, the air was heavy with silence and sorrow. But when Bill Cosby, now 87, slowly made his way to the podium, people held their breath. No cameras clicked. No one spoke. Everyone just waited. Cosby looked frail, visibly shaken, far from the man who once ruled television. But what he said that day shocked everyone in the room. "I didn't just act beside Malcolm," Cosby said with his voice breaking. "I watched him grow. I watched him become something the world wasn't ready for. He was more than Theo. He was my son." The room froze. This wasn't a speech from a public figure. This was a father figure unraveling in front of a crowd of people who weren't sure how to feel. Cosby talked about the early days on set, the way Malcolm memorized everyone's lines, just in case someone forgot theirs. He remembered how Malcolm would quietly check in on him, even after Cosby's world fell apart. "Even when the spotlight turned dark on me," Cosby said, "he never left. He stayed. He reminded me what loyalty looks like." He paused, looking down at the floor for a long, painful moment. "And now he's gone," he whispered. "Without a goodbye." The words pierced every heart in that cathedral. Then came the line that brought the crowd to tears. "If I could trade places with him, I would. That's how much I loved him." Cosby, once a symbol of strength and pride, now stood there as a broken man, his tears falling without shame. There were no jokes. No mask. Just pain. Real, raw pain. As the service ended and guests quietly left the church, the scent of lilies still hung in the air. A soft piano played in the distance. But one person didn't leave. Near the front, a woman stood frozen. Her hands shook, her face heavy with sadness. It was Karen Molina White, Malcolm's former love, his co-star, and the woman who had once held his heart both on screen and off. Even though they had ended things years ago, Karen was known to still carry pieces of Malcolm with her. She walked slowly to the casket, now covered in white roses and framed with photos of his life. She leaned in and softly placed her hand on the wood. Through quiet sobs, she whispered something no one expected. "It was always you, Malcolm. I never stopped loving you." Phylicia Rashad, sitting just feet away, lowered her head and wept. Beside her, Cashin Night Palm visibly trembled. Karen's breakdown was caught on a phone camera by someone nearby, and within hours, it made its way online. But this wasn't about gossip, it was about grief. Pure, aching grief. The kind that doesn't fake a thing. "I'm sorry we didn't make it," Karen whispered. "I thought we had more time. I thought we had another chance." That one moment lit the internet on fire. Old photos of Karen and Malcolm filled timelines. Fans shared clips of them together, laughing, loving, living. One fan commented, "She always loved him. You can see it in every picture." Another wrote, "She was his piece." Before the world got loud. Later that night, Karen posted a simple black and white photo of Malcolm smiling. The caption said everything in one line. "I never got to say goodbye the way I wanted to." In less than 10 hours, her post had over 2 million likes. And just like that, the world remembered what they had forgotten, that Malcolm Jamal Warner wasn't just a TV star. He wasn't just Theo. He was a man with a heart that carried others' pain. A man who never gave up on people. A man who maybe, just maybe, saw too much and stayed too quiet for too long. And now, he's gone. His death opened up more questions than answers. The locked door. The missing footage. The unanswered calls. Was someone trying to hide something? Or was it just a tragic, painful accident? We may never truly know. But one thing is for sure, Malcolm left behind more than a legacy. He left behind people who truly loved him. A woman who never stopped hoping for one more chance. A father figure who still cries when he says his name. And millions of fans who are now beginning to understand just how deep his story really went. Malcolm Jamal Warner, 1972,025. You were loved more than you knew. And your truth still echoes. Rest easy, King.